William Clark Gable established himself as the seventh greatest male actor of classic American cinema after starring in the most profitable Hollywood pictures for 30 years. Famously known as the King of Hollywood, he consistently ranked among the industry's highest-grossing stars. The truth about Gable's Black ancestry is just one of many scandals and controversies that have surrounded his life amid the glitter and glamour of fame. But before we go into the whole debate surrounding his family tree and everything in it, let's examine Clark Gable's actual rise to Hollywood royalty. Gable began his contentious existence in the little Ohio town of Cadiz, where he was born to oil well driller William Henry Gable and Adeline Hershelman. The birth certificate for baby Gable was incorrectly marked as a female at the hospital where he was delivered. At the tender age of 6 months, Gable's sick mother baptized him in the Roman Catholic faith. But she sadly died of an unidentified illness when Clark was barely 10 months old. Gable was transferred to live with relatives after his mother passed away so he could receive the care he required from someone who could act as a mother figure. Nevertheless, Gable went back to his dad's care after his father remarried Jenny Dunlap so he could be near him and feel the maternal affection. Jenny was the caring and supporting stepmother that young Gable needed, just as his father had anticipated. Jenny treated him with the tender, loving care that a mother would for her own kid. She fostered Gable's emerging interests by exposing him to books and music. Jenny not only encouraged Gable's love of reading and the piano, but she also taught him to play the instrument. But Gable's dad had other plans for his son. Clark was more interested in more stereotypically male activities, such as hunting and manual labor, which Bill Gable wanted to encourage. Despite Gable's eventual success as a Hollywood leading man, his father, who wanted a more traditional path for his son, was never fully on board with his son's career choice. Clark Gable was a regular high school student in 1917 when his family's fortunes took a turn for the worse due to his father's job problems. William Henry Gable attempted farming after relocating his family to Ravenna, Ohio, which is close to Akron, in an effort to start over. Adjusting to living in the country was tough for Gable. He struggled to adapt to the peaceful, alone setting. Although his father had high hopes that Gable would follow in the family farming tradition, Gable had other plans. Upon securing employment at a tire factory in Akron, Gable wasted little time departing from Ravenna. A pivotal evening at the theater would alter his life's trajectory there. Gable resolved to pursue acting after being enthralled by the performance he witnessed. He started his acting career on the sly by accepting an unpaid employment with a theater group. The sad news returned him to his hometown. Nevertheless, right as he started his new career, Jenny, his cherished stepmother, had died away. Nomadism became a way of life for Gable when he returned to help support his father, who had gone to work in the oil fields of Oklahoma. He performed for stock companies and took odd jobs from timber mills to touring tent shows when they came his way. No matter how difficult things became, Gable never gave up on his acting career. Portland, Oregon was the final destination on Gable's tour. He was employed by the neighborhood department store Meyer Frank to sell neckties. Earl Larimore, a fellow actor in the area, saw Gable's talent and urged him to get back into performing. Gable was also introduced to Franz Dorfler, one of the Red Lantern players, by Larimore. They soon became friends and colleagues in the workplace. After dating for a while and eventually getting engaged, they joined the Astoria Band and performed together until they went bankrupt. They eventually made their home in Portland, Oregon, where Gable worked during the day for Pacific Telephone and resumed his acting career at night. Josephine Dillon, an acting coach, spotted Gable's talent and was introduced to him by Franz. Coach Dillon was more than that. In Gable's life, she became an important person. Her coffers covered his dental bills, groomed his hair, and assisted him in becoming a more charismatic performer. Dillon put in a lot of time in training. She practiced bringing down his high voice, honing his speaking, and making him more commanding in person. Though Dillon was interested in Gable professionally, his feelings for her extended beyond that. She desired a love connection with him despite his vast age difference. After giving it some thought, Gable broke off his engagement to Dorfler and wed Dillon. A personal and professional union, this marriage had both. During his early days in Hollywood, Dylan took over as his manager. Gable relocated to Hollywood in 1924 with Dylan's financial support and began his career as an extra in silent features like Forbidden Paradise and The Plastic Age. Even with these parts, Gable couldn't break through, so he returned to stage, where he co-starred with Lionel Barrymore and received rave reviews for Mational and other critically acclaimed shows. On the other hand, movie theater attendance plummeted during the Great Depression, altering the entertainment industry forever. Despite the decline in his marriage to Dylan, Gable chose to concentrate on Hollywood after he noticed the change. Gable and Dylan filed for a divorce in March of 1929 after deciding to dissolve their marriage. Gable was in New York at the time, preparing for the 24 performances of his one-act play Hawk Island. Although the play did not propel him to stardom, it did keep him active in the acting world and gave him the opportunity to refine his craft. In April of 1930, Gable and Dylan's divorce was formalized. Gable, on the other hand, wed Rhea, a wealthy Texas socialite Marion Franklin Prentice Lucas Langham, just a few days after their engagement. With a resolute return to Hollywood, he laid the groundwork for his ultimate ascent to fame. When Clark Gable played Killer Mears in the 1930 Los Angeles stage version of The Last Mile, his acting career took a giant leap forward. Gable was offered a contract with Pathy Pictures shortly after this dramatic performance, which drew the attention of Hollywood insiders. In his silent film debut, the low-budget western The Painted Desert, he co-starred with William Boyd as an unshaven villain. Despite its modest budget, Gable's debut in talking movies was distinguished by this film. Later that year, in the film Night Nurse, Gable played the character of a terrifying driver, which was his big break. He had a terrifying portrayal as the villain who knocked out Barbara Stanwyck's character while she fought to save two kids from his evil schemes. However, Cagney's meteoric climb to stardom following The Public Enemy paved the way for Gable, though not all Hollywood insiders were immediately enthralled. During Gable's screen test for Little Caesar, Warner Brothers executive Darrell F. Zanuck infamously opined that Gable resembled an ape due to his large ears. Gable was unfazed by this failure and instead discovered a more encouraging atmosphere at MGM, where Irving Thalberg recognized his talent and offered him a $650 per episode deal. Minna Wallace, Gable's sister and the agent he had just signed up with, helped the actor establish himself in the Hollywood industry. Hal Wallace was the producer. Gable was positioned favorably in the industry by Wallace, who also represented women such as Claudette Colbert, Myrna Loy, and Norma Shearer. Quickly rising to fame, Gable fulfilled MGM's need for fresh male stars. His film debut was in Helldivers, a supporting role he shared with Wallace Beery in The Secret Six. Despite being listed lower at first, Howard Strickling, MGM's publicity manager, saw Gable's good performances and started to shape Gable's public image as a gruff, charismatic leading man. As a result of his branding, Gable was quickly cast alongside A-listers like Joan Crawford, who wanted him in Fool's Dance. Seeing how well Gable and Crawford got along, MGM wanted to pair them together for many more projects. Gable's breakout role in A Free Soul solidified his position as an upcoming Hollywood superstar. His performance as a mobster who abuses Norma Shearer's character in the film was well received and resulted in a flood of fan correspondence. Gable would never again play a supporting role thanks to this performance, guaranteeing his place in Hollywood's A-list. A zero. Even though he had some hiccups in the early 1930s, Gable's career continued to rise over the following decade. Johnny Weissmuller, who possessed a more impressive body and stronger swimming abilities, was ultimately cast as Tarzan instead of him. Nevertheless, Gable's burgeoning star power was unfazed by this setback. There was no denying the chemistry between him and Jean Harlow in Hold Your Man, caused MGM to cast them together in multiple additional features. In China, their on-screen charisma persisted. C's and wife vs. secretary, solidifying their status as a renowned Hollywood pair. Red Dust in Saratoga, one of their 6 films together, is a classic. The unfortunate death of Harlow from kidney disease occurred during filming of Saratoga. The final scenes needed to be shot utilizing long shots and doubles, but the film was almost finished. Who became quite close to Harlow and who went on to say that he felt as if he had been embraced by a ghost after the film ended. In 1934, for his performance in the romantic comedy It Happened One Night, Clark Gable received the Academy Award for Best Actor, marking a significant turning point in his career. The film starred Claudette Colbert as a runaway heiress and Gable as a wisecracking journalist who goes on a cross-country journey with her. Thanks to Frank Capra's directing and the great chemistry between the actors, the film was a smashing success and took home 5 Oscars, wins for Best Actor, Best Actress, Director, Writer, and Picture. It took decades for another picture to achieve the same level of success, so it was truly exceptional. The 1935 picture Mutiny on the Bounty, in which Gable portrayed Fletcher Christian, would go on to be a favorite of his. His typical tough guy attitude was a far cry from this job. Gable was forced to change his look, which he first fought, to one that was more polished with a ponytail and underwear. Concerned about how his American accent would blend in with Charles Laughton's and French Otone's British ones was another source of anxiety for him. No matter how you slice it, Gable still managed to pull off a remarkable performance, earning him yet another Oscar nomination. Being one of Hollywood's most beloved leading men was now firmly entrenched in Gable's career. He was a fan favorite for years to come thanks to his charismatic performance and rugged good looks. The TV star's meteoric rise to fame in 1938 earned him the title of King of Hollywood from the illustrious newspaper columnist Ed Sullivan. Supporting this title was a poll that Sullivan ran, in which Gable was named the favorite cinema star by more than 20 million fans. But there was a lot of controversy surrounding Gable's life, including the matter of his actual race, that lurked behind the scenes of his prosperous career. Throughout his career, Clark Gable's ancestry, and more specifically the matter of his possible black heritage, has been the subject of much speculation. As filming Gone with the Wind progressed, speculation over Gable's past grew even more widespread. Film sets were not immune to the pervasive segregation that pervaded the United States during that era. The fact that the staff and actors used different portable restrooms, marked with different colors and names, proved this. This obvious segregation disturbed said extra Lenny Blewett. At first he attempted to broach the subject with more seasoned black performers, but they were naturally reluctant to risk losing their careers. Blewett, unfazed, mustered up the nerve to confront Gable, who played the legendary Rhett Butler, about the issue. Blewett attracted Gable's attention to the segregated facilities, and the Hollywood heavyweight was obviously distressed. Gable wasted no time getting to work, writing to the property manager and director Victor Fleming to request that the vulgar signs be removed. In that specific case, his participation led to the removal of the signage and the resolution of the segregation issue on set. A lot of people were wondering where he came from because of his unique features and dark complexion. In retrospect, Gable's outstanding good looks are likely the result of a combination of his Scottish and German ancestry. The idea that Gable was of black origin has never been proven, although speculations concerning his ethnic background have persisted. In spite of this, his behavior on set of Gone with the Wind demonstrated his dedication to equality and justice, regardless of his own history. Clark Gable's private life was a tornado of controversy and rumor, even though he had tremendous success in the film industry. After his second marriage ended, Gable's personal life was a constant subject of tabloid coverage, which piqued the public's interest and led to suspicion. His alleged tendency of marrying older ladies who had supported his career was the subject of much rumor regarding his relationships. Hollywood was abuzz with this pattern and rumors of many extramarital encounters. Pauline Frederick was a beautiful and accomplished actress who was 20 years his senior, and Clark Gable had an attraction to her during his early years in the theater. In 1926, not long after Frederick cast Gable in multiple parts, they started an affair. Frederick's assistance extended beyond the casting process. She got Gable a car, paid for his dental work, and gave him new outfits. Nevertheless, Gable's increasing awareness of the possible career boost he may receive from his future bride, Rhea Langham, eventually overshadowed the connection. While collaborating with Marion Davies on Polly of the Circus and Cain and Mabel, Gable's on-screen chemistry also manifested in real life. Davies allegedly had an affair with Gable for a short period of time while she was rumored to be William Randolph Hearst's mistress. Hearst and MGM supposedly wanted to end the romance and offered Gable a huge salary increase from $650 to $2,000 per week if she would cut relations with Davies, according to rumors circulating at the time. Clark Gable's relationship with Joan Crawford, which was on again, off again, was one of the most publicized parts of his private life. Regardless, Crawford was married to another man and Gable to his second wife. They were the stuff of Hollywood legends in their romance. Because of how publicized the affair became, MGM was frightened about the possibility of a scandal and threatened to terminate their contracts if the couple persisted in their romance. Their connection allegedly continued behind the scenes, despite Gable and Crawford's best efforts to keep it under wraps. Their love was not short-lived. It was entwined with their work lives and lasted nearly 30 years. They have 9 films together, and their on-screen and off-screen chemistry was a big reason for their success. After becoming pregnant in 1931 while divorced from Douglas Fairbanks Jr., Crawford mistakenly assumed Gable to be the father. Crawford concealed the abortion and later blamed an on-set mishap for ending the pregnancy. Crawford wasn't the last romantic interest of Gable. The rumors about the performer's supposed affairs with other famous people spread like wildfire. He was said to have been involved with Jean Harlow and Ava Gardner. Grace Kelly and Clark Gable allegedly had a short romance while filming Mogambo, but it ended when Gable decided he didn't want to be married. While Gable was married to Carole Lombard, rumors about his extramarital encounters persisted. Evelyn Keyes, Paulette Goddard, Virginia Gray, Mamie Van Doren, and Lana Turner. Everyone whose name appeared in the gossip columns about Hollywood was alleged to have been linked with him. But Gable's romance with Loretta Young was a major scandal in his life. The two famous people had an intense but short affair in the early 1930s. Young pretended her daughter Judy Lewis was adopted when she became pregnant in order to evade the controversy. The truth about Lewis's biological relationship to Gable was revealed years later. Social mores of the day frequently looked down on single mothers and their children, therefore Young's choice to bring her up as an adoptive daughter was a reflection of that. But in 2015, an astonishing detail about Gable and Young's romance was revealed. According to Young's daughter-in-law, Young told her in 1998 that Judy Lewis, who was thought of as Young's adopted daughter, was actually Gable's child from a date. After Young and Lewis's deaths, their family decided to keep quiet about the story. Despite the possible controversy, they felt compelled to disclose the truth 4 years after Lewis passed away. As soon as word got out about these claims, it created quite a commotion, especially since they implied that Gable had gotten away with a major crime. Claiming that stars were frequently shielded from controversies that could damage their public image, the charges also prompted conversations regarding how similar matters were handled in the past of Hollywood. Reevaluating Gable's legacy was necessitated by this revelation, which arrived decades after he died of a heart attack in 1960. And highlighted the difficulties of dealing with the frequently unseen truths that exist behind the surface of the entertainment industry.